Next topic we're discussing is how to correct micronutrient deficiency in our communities. This suggests that many people, especially children, have micronutrient deficiency because they're not properly fed. These micronutrient deficiencies affect a lot of people, more than 2 billion people in the world. People at all levels, ages, adults, adolescents, children. People are affected across ages. Micronutrient deficiency is also called eating hunger. It means that nutrients that are needed in small amounts, such as sodium, potassium, iron, zinc, vitamin A, iodine, magnesium, these minerals and vitamins that are needed in small amounts. That's why it's called micro. They're needed in small amounts, yet they are not available. They are deficient in our diet and therefore deficient in our system. So when they are deficient in our system, it's like somebody is hungry, does not have enough food. But this type of hunger is the one that nobody can see. And that's why it's known as eating hunger. It's a major public health problem. And the micronutrient deficiencies that are of public health importance are vitamin A, iron, iodine, and zinc. They contribute to the vicious cycle of malnutrition, underdevelopment, and poverty. So what happens when there is micronutrient undernutrition, when they are not sufficient? They can have effect on health, learning ability, and productivity. Can affect health outrightly. It would just affect learning ability and productivity. So while we are discussing this today, is find out what we can do. What are the approaches to dealing with micronutrient deficiency? How can we solve the problem? The first one is called food-based approaches. Food-based approaches. That means we want to solve the problem, and the first strategy is the kind of strategy that is food-based. The second one is education, nutrition education. In other words, we're training people, teaching them, giving them information so that they are educated, they're nutritionally educated and can make the correct decisions. And then the third approach is called integrated public health approach. In other words, there are several public health strategies, interventions that are involved at the same time. They're not just food, they're not just solving nutrition problems, but they're useful for both nutrition and other public health issues. Let's look at the food-based approaches. They're viable, sustainable, and long-term solutions. They combat micronutrient undernutrition through increased availability, access, consumption of adequate quantities, and appropriate varieties of safe, good quality food. So you notice availability here again, and you notice access to consumption of adequate quantities and appropriate varieties. So those two things are very important, availability and accessibility. The food-based approaches can be in form of food supplementation as a short-term solution. Now that somebody is deficient in vitamin A, and then you give vitamin A drops. That's a short-term solution. What about other people that you don't have access to give them vitamin A? And the question is, how long can you keep giving vitamin A drops like that? So it's better how long can you mobilize health staff to go to that community to be giving them vitamin A drops? It's not sustainable. It's just for a short term. So we need to think of a solution that is longer, that is long-term. So the next one is food fortification. So even if you cannot mobilize health staff to the community to give them vitamin A drops, the food they eat in that community, can we fortify it with either vitamin A directly or another substance that is rich in vitamin A? That is food fortification. A good example of that is Gary fortified with palm oil, which is rich in vitamin A. Then food production long term. That's longer than food fortification. So it means that when we are producing food, we are thinking of what kind of foods can we plant, can we produce that will solve that particular problem. And so if the problem was low energy, people don't eat enough, then we can decide to plant cassava in the spaces available, make them available. This is something that I've been involved in a particular community. We gathered the farmers and then gave them gari, and then gave them the what do you call this? The root actually. The roots, the stem of that cassava to go and plant, so that when they plant, then they can get more cassava from the plant and make more gari for themselves. So in a short term, they enjoyed the cassava flakes gari, but in the long term, they planted, they produced more food, and they became better. Then dietary diversification and behavioral modification are also lumped in. So by giving them that species of cassava, which was different from the one they used to, that take a long time to grow and yield more. We gave them the one that will be ready in 3 months. And then when you think of dietary diversification, we actually give them different things, seedlings that do not even exist in that community. And that's how foods like soya beans were introduced to this environment. So we need to do more of that, find out other things that people can plant and enjoy to have better nutrition. Behavioral modification means that the people must adjust their actions to ensure that they are actually consuming the food, because it's not enough to supply, give them supplements, fortify food, encourage production, give them new seedlings that they've never experienced before. They're not used to planting. You can do all of that, but if they refuse to eat it, then you will not achieve your aim. So that behavioral modification is also very important. Remember that under food-based approach, the first one is food supplementation, then followed by food fortification. Make sure you know the difference. The difference is very important. Food supplements. So talking about food fortification, food supplementation. Food supplements are concentrated sources of nutrients or other substances with a nutritional or physiological effect, whose purpose is to supplement the normal diet. So concentrated sources of nutrients, we must master that. And the purpose is to supplement the normal diet. So food supplements are marked in dose form, for example, pills, tablets, capsules, or liquids in measured doses. But fortification means addition of nutrients that may or may not be present naturally in food to improve its overall nutritional quality. So Fortification is addition, but supplementation, you are giving the nutrients directly. This one, you are adding the nutrients to natural food. The fortified food should be acceptable and affordable. An example is fortification of salt with iron. Identification of other appropriate vehicles is very important, like sugar, flour can still be explored for food fortification. Then developing micronutrient-rich snacks for the stage of preconception, antenatal health, and complementary feeding. So what that means is that you can fortify staple foods to develop micronutrient-rich snacks. Yeah, and that can be given to women before they conceive, so that they are prepared. Can also be given to them during pregnancy, and you can give it to children that are growing when you are introducing complementary feeds. Then food production. What does that mean? It means they're encouraging people to produce food. We encourage farming, gardening, home gardening. Some of the products can supply some vitamins and minerals. So we have home gardening for vegetable, for even palm oil. It's possible. I have oil palm in my garden. I just don't have the time to be extracting it. So there are many things that are possible if people are exposed to it. Aquaculture. Some people can have space in their compound where they can actually breed fish. Then improve preservation techniques. Animal source foods like eggs, fish can be encouraged. The production can be encouraged, and that will ease the burden of many people, especially at this time in Nigeria. So that's production. Then dietary diversification. It means consumption of as many varieties of food as possible, especially locally available. So if people are used to eating garri, cassava, then you can introduce something else. Like I used the example of soya beans. You can even introduce, in some places, they don't eat white beans. In some other places, they don't eat red beans. You can introduce those foods they're not used to without things. Some people don't take oats. Some people don't take pap. Some people don't eat sweet potato. Some people don't eat cocoyam. Can introduce those things and be better off. Increasing the consumption of foods rich in micronutrients such as fruits and vegetables. Production of such foods at home and in the communities. And all these things we described require behavioral change. Because if people don't change their behavior, they don't change the way the people will eat pounded yam in the afternoon, in the night, yam in the morning. If they don't change, even if the vegetables are available, the fruits are available, all those things are available. If people don't change their behavior, there will be no results. So for those who know the right thing and want to assist others, the strategy is social marketing techniques. So now, apart from food-based approach, we have nutrition, education, let's say remember, nutrition education. Yeah. So I want to talk about different micronutrients now, and then how can we prevent and control them? So this is like an example, and as we discuss these 4 examples, you can guess how to navigate any other one, because these are principles. Yeah. Iron deficiency anemia is the commonest micronutrient deficiency worldwide and locally. And the people that are at risk are children, adolescent girls, pregnant women, and other women of reproductive age group. What causes iron deficiency? Inadequate dietary intake of iron, parasitic infestation, diseases and menstrual loss, poor dietary bioavailability of iron. Iron is better absorbed from animal-based food. So people that don't eat sufficient amount of animal-based food for one reason or the other may not have enough iron. Presence of enhancers in inhibitors. Vitamin C enhances its absorption, while tannin with tea inhibits its absorption. So it's good to know all these things so that it's the right thing. So now that we know about iron deficiency and the causes, how do we combat it? The first strategy, so when you are dealing with each nutrient, you need to remember all the strategies. Then you now think of the ones that are applicable, the examples of what has been done using each strategy or what can be done. So if we go step by step, food-based approaches. The first one is supplementation. And supplementation can be among women of reproductive age. So if you've done O&G posting, what supplement do you give to women, pregnant women?
Yeah. So they don't of course, of course.
Emmanuel Seya. Ask a question which I'm expecting a response to.
Folic acid.
And what? Persolate. Okay. So pregnant women are usually given iron tablets as well as folic acid tablets. But this is just to let you know that other women in reproductive age, apart from the pregnant women, can also be given this supplementation and preparation for pregnancy. Establishment of physically effective and sustainable methods of food fortification with iron. So we can think of food that can be fortified with iron too, like wheat or corn flour, if possible, we can fortify with iron. Increase production and consumption of iron-rich foods, meat, fish, egg, especially among at-risk groups. So you pick, so I'm going to call one of you now. You would pick the approaches we've discussed and you will say something about iodine. So just follow the same pattern. Supplementation, fortification, dietary diversification, health education, and behavioral change. For vitamin A, for vitamin A, the supplements is very important. It's a very common method, giving supplements to children. And it's good to know the functions of vitamin A so that you know how important the deficiency is. Vitamin A is an essential factor of the micronutrient needed for the normal functioning of visual system, growth and development, maintenance of epithelial integrity, immune function, reproduction, and child So that means when it's absent, all these functions, when it's low, all these functions would also be affected. Where can we get vitamin A? So if you are thinking of food fortification, you would think of which food are we going to add the nutrients to. But if you are thinking of food supplementation, you're thinking of the nutrients. How can we give the nutrients? So that can be supplement. But remember that the longer term or sustainable method is to actually give food that have the nutrients in the balance. That's still a food-based approach. So green leafy vegetables, yellow fruits, carrots, red oil, egg yolk, liver, dairy, meat, other products are all sources of vitamin B. So you can imagine someone who doesn't eat enough vegetables and doesn't even take fish or carrots or take palm oil. That person may have deficiency. And if you want to intervene, you are not just thinking of giving vitamin A drops. You want to quickly take advantage of this food, these foods that are rich in vitamin A. And that can solve the problem. I said somebody will talk about iodine. Let me quickly finish the vitamin A and jump to iodine. So supplementation for vitamin A, children that are not breastfed can be given 50,000 international units. Children that are between 6 and 11 months, 100,000 international units. And then all children 12 to 59 months, 200,000 international units. We should be given twice a year. Postpartum mothers, 200,000 international units at least once a year. Then for vitamin A, food fortification is the most effective, and the cost is marginal. So fortified vegetable oil, wheat flour, and sugar, marginal. Diversification, sustainable, so we need to think of production and consumption of vitamin A-rich foods. Other public health measures can be applied. Measures to prevent and control disease and infection known to worsen disease. For example, immunization is important so that children do not have measles. Because if they have measles, it can affect their immune status. So I need somebody to speak on iodine now. When I call you, you speak, and if you are tired, you pass it to another person. Just pick all those approaches and see how much you can say on iodine. Who is going first? Who is starting? Joseph Odubono. If you don't respond, I mark you absent.
Good evening, ma.
Good evening, Joseph.
Yes, ma.
Okay,
All right. So in terms of
iodine.
Iodine supplementation, you can make use of iodine tablets or capsules, iodine drops, iodized salts, and also multivitamin supplements as well.
I want you to follow that method we have been following. Food supplementation, food fortification, food diversification, health education, like that.
Oh, okay, ma. So in terms of supplementation,
okay, so before you jump to that level of what do we do, We first of all mentioned that the minimum daily requirement is 50 microgram. Iodine is a raw material for thyroid hormones. Deficiencies can lead to goiter, mental and growth retardation, opportunism in children, intellectual and physical problems associated with low iodine have serious social and economic implications. It's the greatest cause of preventable mental retardation. So we know how important it is. So you will now talk about the different methods of intervening when there is deficiency. So we are listening to you.
Okay, ma'am. So I like I said earlier, in terms of the supplementation, we can make use of we can add iodine to salt. So that would be iodized salt in order to cater for the deficiency. Then it's also possible to make use of multivitamin supplements that contain iodine as part of their formulation.
Okay.
Can I still be heard?
Yes, continue.
Okay. Then for fortification, iodine can be incorporated into diets, into dairy products, bread, and so on and so forth. Then in terms of diversification, introducing seafood, eggs that contain some amount of iodine, fruit and vegetables as well. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Clap for you. So just add that we should also avoid too much roasting and smoking of seafoods because it can destroy the iodine. It is easily destroyed. In fact, if salt is exposed to the atmosphere, the iodine can also escape and becoming iodized. So another person should speak on zinc. Another person, speak on zinc. You want me to call you? Olatoye Kilo. Absent?
Hello.
Yeah, okay.
Nothing. Yes. So talking about zinc, talk about the minimum requirements for zinc. I don't know if I'm still doing that.
We can't hear you, Kilo.
Can you hear me?
It's getting better. Try more.
Yes. I said that the minimum requirement for zinc is about 11 milligrams, micrograms,
Okay.
milligrams, yeah, milligrams. And so how would you supplement it in your food, in the diet you take? You can take zinc capsule.
Recording in progress.
You can take zinc capsule. You can also take biscuit items or basically substances that are high in zinc so as to increase the amount of zinc present in the body. I know that zinc is usually recommended for those, for men especially, who come with complaints of infertility. They usually give zinc as it helps boost semen production. So that's one of the advantages of taking zinc. So the disadvantage is if you don't have enough zinc, it's safe to say that infertility can be one of the complications that can arise. For the fortification, I'm not really very sure of the particular food items that are high in zinc at the moment.
Okay.
But
okay, thank you. So we know that zinc is very important, stimulates the activities of several enzymes needed for several biochemical reactions in the body, is important for immune system, is important for organoleptic abilities, and the prevalence of the micronutrient deficiency is not too low. For under 5 is as much as 20%, for pregnant women 47.7%, for mothers 28%. So it's a serious matter. And the intervention strategies, like Kilo said, the first one is food supplements, in which case we give zinc gluconase to children. So I note the doses, less than 2 years, 10 milligrams, 20 milligrams for above 2 years. And for pregnant women, 11 to 13 milligrams. For postpartum, 12 to 14 milligrams per day. So for food fortification, there's no specific one that is already setting. Which flour may be considered. For dietary diversification, production and consumption of zinc-rich foods. Then education. It's good to educate people on the occurrence of zinc deficiencies and food that are rich in zinc, so that they can make use of such foods. Social marketing techniques are important to aim at behavioral modification and other public health measures that can support it. So this brings us to the end of the lecture. And the recap is to say that eating longer affects a high proportion of the population. So we need to create awareness and do more research to determine the extent of the problem. But while we're doing more research, there are certain intervention strategies that can be used to ameliorate the problem. And we have identified food-based approaches, nutrition, education, and integrated public health approach. These are the 3 major approaches to solve the problem of micronutrient deficiency. And other food-based approaches, we have different strategies such as food supplementation, food fortification, food production, dietary diversification, and behavioral modification. So those are the key things in the topic. Any questions? Questions, please, or comments? Okay, thank you. If you are interested, you can download these books from worldliving.com to have better understanding of today's topic and other topics. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.